Chosen ones, listen to me carefully. I carry an important and urgent message today. This message is not for everyone. If you are not walking the divine path of God, if your heart is not aligned with truth, you do not need to continue watching. This message will only reach those who are truly chosen, those who belong to God, those who have been set apart for a higher purpose. And if you are here right now, know this clearly. This message found you at the exact right time. Not early, not late, right on time. God says darkness will consume the earth. Not just physical darkness, but confusion, fear, and spiritual blindness. Many will panic, many will lose their way. But God says you will survive. You will live through the blackout if you do exactly as He says. Obedience will be your protection. Stillness will be your shelter. Stay with me until the end, because what you are about to hear will calm your mind, strengthen your spirit, and prepare you for what is coming. This is not a message of fear. This is a message of survival, alignment, and divine covering. Before we continue, chosen ones, give a like to this video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, tap the bell icon, and share this message with other chosen ones so they don't miss what God is revealing. And comment 444 in the comments to declare divine protection, stability, and alignment with God's will.
The nature of the coming darkness. Chosen ones, let me speak plainly now, without fear and without confusion. When God speaks of darkness, He is not only talking about the absence of light, He is speaking of a season, a shift, a covering that moves across the earth when humanity drifts too far from truth. Darkness is not always punishment. Many times it is exposure. It reveals what people have been hiding from, what they have been avoiding, and what systems were already broken long before the lights ever went out. This darkness will not arrive suddenly for you. You have already been feeling it. The heaviness, the strange fatigue, the sense that something in the world feels off. Conversations feel emptier. Joy feels harder to access. Noise is louder, yet meaning is thinner. That is not coincidence. That is spiritual sensitivity. Chosen ones feel the pressure in the atmosphere before others even notice the change. Understand this carefully. Darkness does not mean God has left the earth. Darkness means God is allowing humanity to see what life looks like without constant distractions, without endless stimulation, without false comfort. And when that happens, many people panic. They become restless. They search outside themselves for answers that were always meant to be found within God. The coming darkness will confuse many. People will argue more. Fear will spread faster than truth. Some will lose emotional control. Others will cling to voices that promise safety but offer none. This is how darkness works. It amplifies inner chaos. It magnifies unresolved fear. It exposes spiritual immaturity. But listen to me closely now. Darkness does not consume everyone equally. It does not touch everyone the same way. There is a difference between being in darkness and being covered by darkness. God makes this distinction very clear. You may be in the same world as everyone else, but you are not under the same authority. You are not guided by the same spirit, and you are not sustained by the same source. Chosen ones are not exempt from seeing darkness. You are exempt from being overtaken by it. That is why God warns you ahead of time, not to frighten you, but to steady you. Panic only grips those who feel unprepared. Anxiety overwhelms those who believe they are alone. But God does not leave His chosen uninformed. He speaks before events unfold. He prepares the mind before the environment changes. This darkness will feel heavy to those who rely on the world for identity, to those who need constant reassurance from others, to those who avoid silence. Silence will feel unbearable to them, but for you, silence will become shelter. Quiet will become clarity. Stillness will become strength. There is another truth you must understand. Darkness reveals dependency. When external systems weaken, people realize what they were leaning on. Some leaned on money, Some leaned on routines, some leaned on other people, some leaned on distractions. When those supports shake, fear surfaces. But chosen ones were trained differently. Your life has already taught you how to stand when things fall apart. Think back. You have walked through personal darkness before. Emotional isolation, betrayal, loss. Seasons where no one understood you. Times when answers were delayed. That was not accidental suffering. That was preparation. God was strengthening your inner structure so that when collective darkness arrives, you are not shocked by discomfort. Darkness also exposes truth. Lies struggle to survive when light is removed. False confidence fades. Performances collapse. People are forced to confront who they really are. This is why many resist darkness. It demands honesty, and honesty is uncomfortable for those who built their lives on illusion. But chosen ones value truth, even when it costs comfort. You have always been willing to lose what is false to gain what is real. That is why darkness does not terrify you at a soul level. Something in you already knows how to navigate it. Do not misunderstand me. I am not saying darkness will be pleasant. It will challenge patience. It will test emotional discipline. It will tempt fear, but it will not destroy you. It cannot. Darkness has no authority over a mind anchored in God. It only has power over confusion, not conviction. Many will ask questions during this time. Why is this happening? When will it end? Who is to blame? But chosen ones ask different questions. What is God showing me? What must I release? How do I stay aligned? These questions keep you calm while others spiral. Darkness also slows things down, and this is important. When movement stops, people are forced to feel, forced to think, forced to reflect. This is uncomfortable for those who avoid their inner world. But for you, introspection has always been familiar territory. You have spent years examining your heart, correcting your ways, seeking truth. Darkness does not scare someone who has already faced themselves. God allows darkness to strip away noise. When noise disappears, his voice becomes clearer. That is why you must not fight this season. Resistance creates suffering. Acceptance creates understanding. Darkness is not something to conquer. It is something to move through with awareness. Remember this always. God does not warn you because he expects failure. He warns you because he expects obedience. And obedience keeps you grounded when everything else feels unstable. The earth may feel like it is losing balance, but your spirit does not have to. You are not meant to absorb collective fear. You are meant to remain steady. Calm minds survive storms better than strong bodies. Peaceful hearts hear instructions clearly. And clarity is survival. Darkness will reveal who listens and who reacts, who trusts and who panics, who stands and who collapses. You were not chosen to be dramatic. You were chosen to be grounded. So when the world begins to feel heavier, slower, quieter, or stranger, do not assume something has gone wrong. Something is being revealed, and you were prepared for this moment long before you realized it. This darkness is not the end. It is a passage, and you are not walking into it blindly. You are walking in with awareness, with preparation, and with divine covering. And that alone already sets you apart. Why the chosen ones will survive. Chosen ones, I want you to settle your spirit now and listen closely. Survival is not random. Protection is not accidental. God does not leave the most important outcomes of your life to chance. When he says you will survive, he is not making a hopeful statement. He is declaring a result that has already been decided. You will survive because you were never built like the world. You were shaped differently, trained differently, pressed differently. While others were learning how to fit in, you were learning how to stand alone. While others avoided discomfort, you were pushed into it. While others depended on external security, you were taught how to endure with very little reassurance. This is not coincidence. This is design. Chosen ones survive because their strength does not come from circumstances. It comes from alignment. When your inner world is anchored in God, outer chaos cannot overthrow you. The storm may rage, but it does not get inside you. And what does not get inside you cannot control you. Understand this truth. God never places his chosen in environments they cannot endure. He prepares the person before he permits the pressure. Every delay you hated, every season of isolation, every moment when you felt misunderstood, those were not punishments. They were conditioning. God was strengthening your spiritual immune system. Survival is not always about physical endurance. It is about mental stability, emotional discipline, spiritual clarity. Many people will be physically present during darkness, but mentally absent. Their fear will drain them. Their panic will exhaust them. Their confusion will paralyze them. But chosen ones have already learned how to remain calm when answers are delayed. You have practiced patience without knowing you were training. You have sat with uncertainty before. You have lived through unanswered prayers and still kept your faith. That alone separates you from many. God also knows who can be trusted with clarity during chaos. Not everyone can handle awareness without becoming arrogant or fearful. Chosen ones are entrusted with insight because they do not misuse it. You do not seek knowledge to feel superior. You seek understanding to remain obedient. That is why God speaks to you early. Many people only turn to God when fear overwhelms them, but you walk with God before the fear arrives. That relationship matters. Familiarity with God's voice becomes survival when noise increases. When confusion spreads, the one who recognizes truth quickly remains steady. You will survive because you listen. There is another reason, and this one is important. Chosen ones are not selfish survivors. God preserves you because others will need your presence. Your calm will steady people. Your clarity will guide others. Your peace will speak louder than any explanation. God does not preserve light so it can hide. He preserves it so it can remain visible when darkness spreads. But listen carefully. This does not mean you must save everyone. It means you must remain yourself. You survive by staying aligned, not by carrying the weight of the world. God never asked you to rescue humanity. He asked you to obey him. Survival becomes difficult when people overextend themselves emotionally, when they absorb fear that does not belong to them, when they feel responsible for outcomes God never assigned them. Chosen ones must remember this. Your role is presence, not panic. Example, not exhaustion. You will also survive because you are willing to let go. Darkness destroys those who cling too tightly to what no longer serves them. Old identities, old attachments, old comforts. Chosen ones understand loss differently. You grieve, but you release. You feel, but you do not cling. God taught you how to surrender long before this moment arrived. That is why collapse does not terrify you. You know that God rebuilds better than what was lost. There is a quiet confidence in you that others do not understand. It is not arrogance, it is trust. You have learned that God shows up even when circumstances do not improve immediately. That knowledge becomes survival when timelines stretch and answers delay. Darkness tests belief systems. Those who believe only when things go well will struggle. But those who believe even when outcomes are unclear remain steady. You have lived your faith in silence before. You have trusted without applause. You have walked without validation. That matters now. Another truth you must accept. Survival is not always about avoiding hardship. Sometimes survival means enduring without breaking, remaining whole when everything else fragments. God is not promising you a painless experience. He is promising you preservation of identity. You will survive as yourself. Fear strips people of who they are. Panic makes them reactive. Desperation makes them betray their values. But chosen ones survive because they refuse to abandon their inner compass. You do not trade peace for urgency. You do not sacrifice truth for comfort. God values that deeply. Your nervous system has already been trained. You have learned how to calm your mind when emotions rise. You have learned how to breathe through uncertainty. You have learned how to wait without collapsing. These are not small skills. They are survival tools. Many people confuse survival with control. They believe they must predict everything, prepare for every outcome, secure every detail. That mindset creates anxiety. But chosen ones survive through trust. You prepare wisely, but you do not obsess. You remain alert, but not frantic. God does not need you frantic to keep you alive. He needs you attentive. You will survive because you know how to listen inwardly. You pay attention to conviction. You notice when peace leaves. You sense when something is not right. This awareness is protection. Many ignore these signals. You do not. You will survive because you are not addicted to chaos. Some people feel empty without drama. They chase intensity. They thrive on fear. But chosen ones crave peace, and peace keeps the mind clear. Clear minds make better decisions. God also protects chosen ones because they represent Him. Your survival is testimony, not for attention, but for reassurance. When others see you steady, they remember God is still present. When others see you calm, they question their fear. That influence matters more than you realize. Do not underestimate your existence. Simply remaining grounded during darkness is powerful. Simply refusing to panic is leadership. Simply trusting God quietly is resistance against fear. You were chosen not because you are perfect, but because you are willing. Willing to listen, willing to obey, willing to trust even when outcomes are unclear. And that willingness is why God says you will survive. Not because you are stronger than others, but because you are aligned. And alignment keeps you standing when everything else falls. Remember this and hold it deeply. You are not surviving by accident. You are surviving by design. The blackout as a divine reset. Chosen ones, let me guide your mind into a place of calm understanding. The word blackout may sound frightening to many, but fear comes from misunderstanding. God never reveals something without purpose. When He allows a blackout, He is not creating chaos. He is pressing reset. And resets are uncomfortable only for those who are addicted to noise. The world has become loud, constant information, endless opinions, continuous stimulation. Minds never rest. Hearts rarely reflect. Souls are rarely still. God does not compete with noise. He removes it. And when the noise disappears, many people panic because they have never learned how to be alone with their thoughts. But you, chosen one, have walked through silence before. A blackout slows the world down. It interrupts routines. It forces pause, and pause is sacred. When movement stops, clarity begins. When distractions fade, truth rises. God often speaks the clearest when everything else goes quiet. This is not new. Throughout Scripture, revelation followed silence. Direction followed stillness. Strength followed surrender. For those who depend on external validation, the blackout will feel unbearable. For those who fear their inner world, it will feel suffocating. But for you, it will feel strangely familiar. You have sat in quiet rooms with heavy thoughts before. You have endured seasons where nothing moved, nothing changed, and nothing made sense. That was preparation. Understand this clearly. The blackout is not meant to punish the faithful. It is meant to expose false foundations, systems built on greed, structures built on deception, habits built on distraction. When power fades, truth stands out. When control weakens, character reveals itself. God uses interruption to realign priorities. When the usual sources of comfort disappear, people remember what truly sustains them. Some will feel lost, others will feel awakened. The difference lies in where their trust has always been placed. Chosen ones are not shaken by loss of control because you surrendered control long ago. You learned that forcing outcomes drains the soul. You learned that waiting on God, though uncomfortable, brings peace. That wisdom now becomes protection. The blackout also removes illusion. People realize how fragile their sense of security was, how dependent they became on systems that were never meant to replace God. This realization will frighten many, but it will steady you. You have never confused convenience with security. There is something else you must understand. Darkness does not mean God has stopped working. Often it means he is working more deeply. Roots grow in darkness, seeds break open underground. Transformation happens away from visibility. God does his most important work where eyes cannot see. You are not meant to fight the blackout. You are meant to move through it with awareness. Fear makes people rush. Rushing leads to mistakes. Stillness leads to instruction. God does not shout over chaos. He whispers into calm minds. During the blackout, emotional discipline becomes critical. Panic spreads faster than truth. Anxiety becomes contagious. But peace interrupts fear cycles. One calm presence can steady an entire environment. You do not need to explain everything. Your composure will speak for you. Remember this: God did not choose you to be dramatic. He chose you to be stable. A divine reset feels uncomfortable because it removes false comfort, but it also restores what was lost. Attention returns, presence deepens, prayer becomes sincere, relationships become honest. People are forced to confront themselves. Some will resist, others will grow. You have always been willing to grow. The blackout will also reveal who listens and who reacts. Reaction is impulsive. Listening is intentional. Chosen ones listen before they move. They pause before they speak. They observe before they decide. This pattern preserves energy and prevents regret. Do not underestimate how powerful calm awareness is during disruption. When others scramble, you remain observant. When others panic, you breathe. When others speculate, you wait. Waiting is not weakness. It is trust in motion. God's resets are not meant to destroy identity. They are meant to strip away what was never real. What remains afterward is stronger, purer, and more aligned. You may lose convenience, but you gain clarity. You may lose distractions, but you gain direction. This is why you must not fear the blackout. Fear clouds judgment. Fear makes people abandon values. Fear makes people listen to the loudest voice instead of the wisest one. But you have learned to value wisdom over urgency. Your nervous system already knows how to calm itself. You have practiced grounding. You have learned how to sit with discomfort without running. That skill will keep you safe when the world feels unstable. God does not waste seasons. Every interruption carries instruction. Every delay carries direction. The blackout is not random. It is intentional, and you are not entering it unprepared. Let others panic if they must. You do not follow the crowd. You follow conviction. You do not chase noise. You listen for truth. You do not fear darkness. You understand it. The blackout is a doorway, not a dead end, a passage, not a prison. And when light returns, those who remained grounded will see more clearly than ever before. And you, chosen one, were built for clarity. There is another layer to this reset that many overlook, and I want you to understand it deeply. The blackout is also a form of mercy. God removes what overwhelms the mind so the soul can breathe again. Constant stimulation exhausts the spirit. Endless noise dulls discernment. When those inputs are reduced, healing begins quietly. You may notice something during this time. Your thoughts slow down. Your emotions become clearer. Old wounds may surface, not to harm you, but to be released. This is how restoration works. God does not heal what we keep buried. He brings it gently to the surface when the environment is finally quiet enough to face it. Some people will mistake this discomfort for danger, but discomfort is often the doorway to freedom. Growth rarely feels pleasant in the moment, yet afterward, it brings peace. The blackout strips away emotional clutter. It forces honesty. It reveals what truly matters and what never did. Chosen ones must remember not to romanticize the past during this time. Nostalgia can become a trap. The world before the reset was not healthier, only louder. God is not taking something precious from you. He is removing what distracted you from your true strength. Another truth you must hold steady. During the blackout, less is more. Fewer words, fewer reactions, fewer assumptions. Silence becomes wisdom. Observation becomes strategy. This is not the season to explain yourself to everyone. It is the season to conserve energy and stay aligned. God often withdraws external light, so internal light can activate. When external guidance fades, inner discernment sharpens. That is why chosen ones are often led intuitively during crisis. You will sense when to move and when to remain still. Trust that guidance. It is not imagination. It is alignment. The blackout also restores reverence. When human systems pause, people remember their limitations. Humility returns. Gratitude deepens. Simple things feel meaningful again. These are not losses, these are corrections. So if you feel moments of unexpected peace during this time, do not question it. Peace is confirmation. It means you are positioned correctly. It means your spirit recognizes what your mind is still adjusting to. The blackout is not here to weaken you. It is here to realign you. And alignment always leads to strength. Do as I say. Obedience without fear. Chosen ones, now we come to a sacred instruction. When God says, "Do as I say," He is not threatening you. He is guiding you. Authority without love produces fear, but authority rooted in wisdom produces safety. God does not command to control. He instructs to preserve life. Obedience has been misunderstood for too long. Many think it means losing freedom. In truth, obedience is how you remain free when everything else becomes unstable. When the world grows loud, obedience simplifies the path. It removes unnecessary decisions, it quiets the mind, it narrows focus to what truly matters. God does not overwhelm His chosen with complex instructions during crisis. He speaks simply, He speaks clearly, and He speaks repeatedly to ensure you do not miss it. Obedience during darkness is not about doing more. It is about doing less, but doing it with intention. Fear-driven action drains the soul. Obedience-driven action conserves strength. You must understand this deeply. God does not ask you to obey blindly. He asks you to obey trustfully. Trust is built through relationship, and you already have that relationship. You have heard God's voice in your life before, even if you did not always recognize it at the time. That inner conviction, that quiet nudge, that sense of peace or unease, that is how God speaks to the chosen. During darkness, obedience begins with listening, not to rumors, not to panic, not to speculation, listening inwardly, listening for peace. God's guidance never contradicts calm. If something pulls you into chaos, confusion, or desperation, pause. God does not rush His chosen into danger. Many will feel pressured to react quickly during the blackout, to follow crowds, to imitate fear. But obedience often looks like restraint, like waiting, like observing before moving. Stillness is not passivity. It is discernment in action. Chosen ones do not move because others move. They move when peace confirms the step. There will be moments when doing nothing is the most obedient choice. Resting, staying quiet, remaining where you are, conserving energy. The world glorifies constant motion, but God values correct timing. A delayed step taken in peace is safer than a rushed step taken in fear. Obedience also means protecting your inner environment, guarding what you consume mentally and emotionally. Not every conversation deserves your energy. Not every opinion deserves your attention. During darkness, your mind becomes sacred ground. What you allow into it shapes how you respond. God may lead you to simplify. Fewer interactions, less information, more silence. This is not isolation. This is preservation. Overexposure leads to emotional fatigue. Emotional fatigue leads to poor judgment. Obedience keeps your perception clear. There is something else you must release: the need to explain yourself. During crisis, explanations often fall on closed ears. People hear what aligns with their fear. God does not require you to convince others of your calm. He requires you to remain calm. Your obedience may look strange to those who panic, Your stillness may irritate those who crave chaos. Let them misunderstand you. You are not accountable to their expectations. You are accountable to God's instruction. Obedience also involves humility, acknowledging that you do not need to know everything to be safe. God does not reveal full plans during darkness. He reveals the next step, and that is enough. Trying to see too far ahead creates anxiety. Trusting the next step creates peace. You may feel moments of uncertainty. That does not mean you are disobedient. It means you are human. Obedience is not the absence of doubt. It is the decision to trust God despite it. Remember this: God's instructions never strip you of dignity. They never violate your conscience. They never push you into fear. If something feels forced, rushed, or manipulative, pause. God's voice carries firmness, but it also carries peace. Chosen ones are not controlled by impulse. They are guided by conviction. Obedience also requires letting go of control. Many people struggle here. Control feels like safety, but control is exhausting. God does not ask you to manage outcomes. He asks you to manage alignment. When alignment is right, outcomes follow naturally. You may not understand why certain doors close during this time, why certain plans stall, why certain connections fade. Do not resist it. Obedience sometimes means accepting closure without explanation. God sees what you do not. Every act of obedience strengthens trust, and trust calms the nervous system. A calm nervous system thinks clearly, and clear thinking saves lives. You are not being tested to fail. You are being positioned to endure. God does not play games with His chosen. He prepares them. And obedience is the preparation that keeps you alive when systems falter and voices grow loud. So when God says, "Do as I say," hear it as protection. Hear it as love. Hear it as wisdom earned through eternity. You are not being restricted. You are being guided. And guidance, followed without fear, is survival. There is a deeper level of obedience that many overlook, and this is where peace truly settles. Obedience is not only about actions, it is also about posture. The posture of your heart, the posture of your thoughts. God often asks you to soften inwardly before He directs you outwardly. In times of darkness, God may ask you to slow down when everything around you demands speed. This can feel uncomfortable at first. Slowing down feels risky to those who EQ considered constant motion as safety, but slowing down allows discernment to surface. It allows wisdom to catch up with instinct. Chosen ones must learn to resist urgency that is not God-directed. Urgency creates pressure. Pressure clouds judgment. God's timing carries clarity, not stress. If a decision feels frantic, pause. Obedience includes knowing when not to decide yet. You may also notice God drawing your attention to small, simple acts. Rest, prayer, hydration, silence, gratitude. These may seem insignificant compared to the scale of darkness, but they are not. Small acts of obedience regulate the nervous system. A regulated nervous system hears God more clearly. God often protects His chosen through routine. Familiar rhythms anchor the mind when external stability disappears. That is why obedience sometimes looks ordinary. Doing what you know is right. Staying consistent. Maintaining discipline even when motivation fades. Another important truth. Obedience requires discernment between fear-based caution and wisdom-based restraint. Fear whispers worst-case scenarios. Wisdom offers calm alternatives. God's instruction never shames you. Fear does. If you feel condemned or pressured, that voice is not from God. During this time, God may also ask you to withdraw from certain people or environments temporarily. This is not abandonment, it is boundary setting. Even Jesus withdrew from crowds when clarity was needed. Obedience honors the limits of the soul. You are not meant to be available to everyone during darkness. You are meant to be available to God. There may be moments when obedience feels lonely, when others question your calm, when your restraint is misunderstood as indifference. Let that discomfort pass. Approval from people is not protection. Alignment with God is. Chosen ones must remember that obedience is cumulative. Each small act builds momentum. Each choice to remain calm strengthens trust. Over time, obedience becomes instinct. You no longer force it. You move naturally in alignment. God does not reveal the full map. He reveals stepping stones. Trying to see the whole path creates anxiety. Stepping where light is given creates safety. And finally, remember this: obedience is not perfection. You may hesitate. You may second guess. That does not disqualify you. What matters is your willingness to return to peace. God corrects gently. He redirects without shame. When you obey without fear, your spirit rests. And a rested spirit survives what an anxious mind cannot. So stay soft inside. Stay alert. Stay grounded. Do not rush. Do not panic. Listen, trust, and move when peace confirms. That is how you live through darkness. Mental and spiritual survival during darkness. Chosen ones, this is where survival truly takes place. Not in the body, but in the mind. Not in what you see, but in how you interpret what you see. Darkness tests the nervous system more than anything else. It is designed to overwhelm thought patterns, distort perception, and exhaust emotional reserves. But God has already equipped you with what you need to remain steady. The first battlefield is the mind. Fear does not begin in events. It begins in interpretation. Two people can experience the same situation and respond completely differently. One panics, the other remains calm. The difference is not circumstance, it is inner regulation. Chosen ones have been trained through hardship to regulate themselves. You have learned how to breathe through uncertainty, how to pause before reacting, how to observe emotions without becoming them. These are not small skills, they are survival skills. During darkness, your mind will be exposed to uncertainty. You may not have answers. Timelines may be unclear. Information may be incomplete. This is where many people unravel. The mind craves certainty. When certainty disappears, anxiety rises. But peace does not require certainty. Peace requires trust. God does not promise clarity about everything. He promises presence, and presence stabilizes the mind. You must guard your inner dialogue carefully. What you say to yourself during darkness matters more than what others say around you. Fearful self-talk drains strength. Catastrophic thinking paralyzes action. But calm inner language restores balance. Speak gently to yourself. Remind your mind that you are safe, that you are prepared, that God is present. This is not denial, this is regulation. A regulated mind thinks clearly. A calm nervous system responds wisely. Another critical skill is emotional boundaries. During collective fear, emotions spread quickly. Anxiety becomes contagious. Panic travels through conversations. Chosen ones must not absorb what does not belong to them. Compassion does not require absorption. You can care without carrying. You are not responsible for managing everyone's fear. You are responsible for managing your own alignment. Spiritual survival also requires silence. Not constant silence, but intentional silence. Stepping away from noise when your mind feels overloaded. Turning off unnecessary input. Creating space for your thoughts to settle. God often restores clarity in quiet moments. Do not confuse withdrawal with weakness. Withdrawal is strategy. Even warriors retreat to regain strength. Prayer during darkness is not about perfect words. It is about honesty, short prayers, quiet acknowledgement, simple trust. God hears sincerity more than eloquence. When words feel heavy, silence becomes prayer. You may also notice emotional waves during this time. Moments of calm followed by moments of unease. This is normal. Darkness destabilizes emotional rhythms. Do not judge yourself for fluctuations. Ground yourself. Breathe. Return to the present moment. Grounding keeps you anchored in reality instead of imagined futures. Fear thrives in imagined scenarios. Peace lives in the present. Another truth: chosen ones must protect their sleep. Rest is not laziness, it is restoration. Exhaustion weakens discernment. Fatigue amplifies fear. God often restores strength through rest. Honor that. Your body and spirit are connected. When the body is regulated, the mind follows. Simple practices like breathing slowly, staying hydrated, and maintaining basic routines stabilize the nervous system. These are not unspiritual actions. They are wise stewardship. Darkness may also surface old fears or unresolved emotions. Do not panic if this happens. God is not reopening wounds to harm you. He is allowing release. What surfaces can be healed. What is avoided remains trapped. Face emotions gently. Do not suppress. Do not dramatize. Observe and release. Emotional maturity becomes spiritual strength during crisis. Chosen ones also survive mentally by resisting comparison. During darkness, people compare responses. Who is coping better? Who is struggling? This comparison breeds insecurity. Everyone's nervous system responds differently. Focus on your own alignment. You do not need to prove your faith through performance. Faith is not how loudly you speak. It is how steadily you stand. Spiritual survival also involves hope, but not unrealistic hope. Grounded hope. Hope rooted in trust, not fantasy. Trust that God is working even when you cannot see results. Trust that this season has purpose. Trust that you will not be abandoned. God does not disappear in darkness. He becomes closer to those who listen. Your spirit will also need reassurance. Remind yourself of past deliverance. Times when God carried you through uncertainty. Memory strengthens faith. Reflection stabilizes hope. Do not isolate completely. Connection with safe, grounded people matters. Choose wisely. Not everyone deserves access to your emotional space. Seek those who speak calmly, who respect silence, who encourage peace. Chosen ones must be selective with intimacy during darkness. Emotional openness without discernment leads to depletion. You were chosen not because you never feel fear, but because you know how to return to peace. You know how to ground yourself. You know how to listen inwardly. You know how to trust even when clarity fades. Mental and spiritual survival is not dramatic. It is quiet, steady, intentional, and this is where you excel. You are not built for chaos. You were built to remain calm within it. There is one more discipline that will protect your mind during this season, and it is often overlooked. Acceptance. Not resignation, but acceptance of what is. Resistance drains energy. Acceptance conserves it. When you stop fighting reality, your mind becomes available for wisdom. Acceptance does not mean you agree with everything happening. It means you acknowledge where you are without panic. This simple shift brings immediate calm. From calm, clarity emerges. From clarity, correct action follows. Chosen ones also survive by staying rooted in the present. Fear pulls the mind into imagined futures. Regret pulls it into the past. Peace lives only in now. When your thoughts wander, gently bring them back. What is happening right now? What can you control right now? What is God asking of you right now? This practice keeps anxiety from spiraling. Another powerful tool is gratitude. Not forced gratitude, but quiet recognition. Notice what remains steady: your breath, your awareness, your faith. Gratitude grounds the mind and reminds the nervous system that not everything is lost. You may also find strength in simple rituals: lighting a candle, sitting in stillness, reading scripture slowly. These acts signal safety to the body and reverence to the spirit. They anchor you when the external world feels uncertain. Do not underestimate the power of consistency. Small daily practices create stability when larger systems fail. God often sustains his chosen through ordinary faithfulness. Finally, remember this. You are allowed to rest emotionally. You do not need to be strong every moment. Strength includes knowing when to pause. God carries you when you feel tired. Your worth is not measured by endurance alone, but by trust. If you feel overwhelmed, slow down, breathe, return to what you know. God is not rushing you. You are not behind. You are not failing. You are exactly where you need to be, and you are not alone. Your role after the darkness passes. Chosen ones, darkness is never the final chapter. God does not lead his people through shadow without intention beyond survival. What comes after matters just as much as what you endure. You are not being preserved only to exist. You are being prepared to serve a purpose that becomes clearer once the storm settles. When darkness passes, many will feel disoriented. Systems they trusted will have failed them. Beliefs they leaned on will feel fragile. Confidence will be shaken. This is where your presence becomes meaningful, not through loud declarations or dramatic leadership, but through quiet stability. You will not need to announce what you know. You will not need to convince anyone of your faith. Your calm will speak. Your steadiness will reassure. Your clarity will guide without force. God often uses those who remain grounded to help others find balance again. Chosen ones do not lead by domination. They lead by example, by consistency, by humility. After darkness, people become sensitive. They will be watching who remained whole, who did not lose themselves, who did not become bitter, fearful, or reactive. That will be you. Your role will not be to shame those who panicked. Compassion matters. Many people were simply unprepared. They were not taught how to regulate themselves. They were not trained for uncertainty. Your understanding will heal more than judgment ever could. God may place people in your path seeking reassurance, not answers to every question, but presence. Listening becomes powerful. Silence becomes ministry. Sometimes the most healing words are simple and calm. Do not rush to fix people. God does not ask you to repair what only He can restore. Your role is to remain aligned and available. When alignment is strong, God works through you naturally. You may also feel called to rebuild, not structures necessarily, but trust, community, meaning. Darkness fractures connection. Healing restores it slowly. Be patient with the pace. Healing cannot be rushed without causing harm. Chosen ones must guard against pride during this time. Survival does not make you superior, it makes you responsible. Humility keeps your heart open. Gratitude keeps your spirit soft. Another truth you must accept. Not everyone will understand your calm. Some may feel uncomfortable around it. Darkness exposes differences in emotional maturity. Do not take this personally. Remain respectful. Remain grounded. You are not meant to chase recognition. God sees what you carry, and that is enough. After darkness, clarity increases. You may feel new direction emerging, new assignments, new boundaries. Pay attention. God often redirects his chosen after major transitions. Old seasons close. New ones begin. Do not cling to what has ended. Grief is natural, but attachment delays movement. God does not reset without intention to rebuild better. Your role may also include teaching, not formal teaching necessarily, but sharing wisdom through lived example. People learn by observing calm behavior more than hearing explanations. Stay consistent. Remember this. Light does not argue with darkness. It simply shines. Be light. Be present. Be steady. God preserved you because you could handle this role without losing yourself. That is why survival mattered. That is why preparation mattered. And when you feel unsure, return to humility. Ask God quietly. He will guide you step by step. You are not stepping into chaos. You are stepping into purpose refined by endurance. And you are ready. Conclusion. Final reassurance and sealing word. Chosen ones, take a deep breath and let your spirit settle. Everything you have heard today was not meant to alarm you. It was meant to anchor you. God does not speak to create fear. He speaks to create readiness, and readiness brings peace. Darkness may cover the earth, systems may shake, silence may feel heavy at times, but hear this clearly and let it rest in your heart. You are not abandoned. You are not forgotten. You are not unprotected. God does not warn his chosen and then leave them to figure things out alone. He stays, he guides, he covers. You were prepared for this season long before it arrived. Every delay you endured, every moment of isolation, every time you were forced to grow quietly. None of it was wasted. It all shaped you into someone who can remain calm when others cannot. Someone who can listen when others panic. Someone who can survive without losing themselves. Do not rush. Do not fear. Do not absorb chaos that does not belong to you. Stay aligned. Stay grounded. Stay obedient without fear. Darkness does not win when light knows how to remain steady. And remember, you are not required to carry the weight of the world. God did not choose you to be overwhelmed. He chose you to be anchored. Peace is your strength. Stillness is your shelter. Trust is your protection. If this message resonated with your spirit, chosen ones, take a moment now. Like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, tap the bell icon, and share this message with other chosen ones who need this reassurance. And comment 444 in the comments to declare divine protection, stability, and alignment with God's will over your life. Remain calm. Remain faithful. Remain yourself. God is with you, and you will live through this.